Hi, it's Garnet, and this is episode number 2 in I don't know, the personal portal, not more of the kind of science portal. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about does relate to episode 2 and 3 in the other video portal, but this is a bit broader, maybe more philosophical, something that intrigues me a lot. And it's the thing I referred to over there. I'm not trying to kick you to the other one, but it's referred there more technically. But that the philosophy, the social philosophy that we have, that we're in a kind of a tug of war where we are scientific, materialistic, reductionistic, and at the same time struggling with what we'll call spirituality, holism, maybe in some, pardon me, in some sense, religion, that's controversial, but the kind of the 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 this thing between what we'll call mechanistic thinking and magical thinking. And I don't mean magical in a derogatory way. I mean something that is not purely logical, rational, but maybe something that is more intuitive, more of the heart. This kind of struggle. I don't think it's going away quickly, but we are forced into thinking mechanistically and scientifically more and more and more. Numbers are used to explain things about ourselves. We try to rate. And this brings up to me an issue. My whole life, maybe I would consider myself a shy outsider. I'll talk about that some other time. But the idea is that there's a kind of a suspicion about a common narrative. And the common narrative with this thrust of scientific logic, they prove it, show me the double-blind placebo-controlled, this thing, which works to a degree, and how it forms and shapes our version of reality. I think I said in the other thing, because this, by the way, is July 26, 2026. I'm in Chiang Mai. It's Sunday. That I'm quite confident that my view of reality is significantly flawed. Yeah, that's okay. It makes for an open mind. And in this process, looking at how I believe, what I take to be true, what's real. This concept of an axiom, I talked about it before, this self-evident truth that requires no proof. To me, that's a red flag. But okay, we don't even know the background and the influence of our upbringing, of our social structure, of the philosophy. So why am I saying all this? Because we want to feel good. We want good things to happen, and we'd like to know how to do that and avoid the bad stuff. And when I look at the materialistic, reductionistic, mechanistic philosophy of our science, I don't know, modern science, quantum mechanics, I mean, they call it mechanics, quantum science, quantum theory has kind of blown that apart, entanglement, spooky effects at a distance, poor Einstein, but that we are almost forced, invisibly forced to believe materialism, which is what it is. I forget, was it Bohm or for which quantum scientist. I mean, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but that everything that we believe is matter is not materialistic. I mean, you go down, atom, molecule, subatomic, quark, space, mostly space. But anyway, so to me, one of the areas in science that has had massive impact on our lifestyle, other than, flying to the moon and jets and now drones and AI, but is in medicine, and primarily in this case in pharmaceutical medicine. I'll make it simple. It's not as simple as this, but a primary concept is reductionistic. You take something like a plant, and it's really complicated. There are a lot of molecules, combinations of things, and you try to find the molecule that is the active ingredient. And all the other stuff is just noise or junk or a hassle, not important. Even though in systems theory, they say the whole, WH, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Reductionism says, let me take it apart into parts and pieces until I find the really important part, the active ingredient. And once I have the active ingredient, this molecule, now I have identified it, I know its structure, I can synthesize it. When I have it synthesized, I don't need the plant, so the supply can be theoretically unending, and I can scale to volume. And it's going to be very reliable. This active ingredient, this structure, maybe with a couple, like, some carrier molecules, but you put that in the body and it's going to create the same result more or less every time. We have all these other effects that we call side effects. That's a problem, but hey, they're side effects. Well, they're not, for the people having them, they're not side effects, they are the effects, but okay. So this concept of a pharmaceutical drug, a medicine, a drug, that is based on this reductionistic principle of the active ingredient. There's a lot of controversy. There's a lot of pushback these days. And when I look at how we're approaching what we'll call energy medicine or vibrational healing, and now it's, tiptoeing into conventional healthcare and medicine, usually in diagnostics. The only, energetic one that made any welcomed access was something like ultrasound as a treatment, not ultrasound as an imaging technique. But anyway, so what I think I see is this fascination that I think is the same reductionistic mindset that we've done with chemistry. Get rid of all the stuff, find the active ingredient, that's the power. Energetically, we want to strip things down to an isolated mathematical signal that exists in nature occasionally in a fleeting way, but we're going to use that in isolation from everything else, and we're going to introduce this into the organism for a specific targeted effect. Does it exist naturally in nature, natural nature? No. But we can do it. And so what I'm wondering is this use of isolated, targeted, sustained, highly periodic energy stimuli, is that following the same principled philosophy that has given us pharmaceutical medicines? Are we taking what we learned in big pharma and now creating big hertz. This idea of highly specific, they don't seem to occur in nature, especially with no decimal points, and especially not for sustained periods of time. So this is my mix of curiosity and concern. I don't know. I wonder, do pharmaceutical design medications have effects? Absolutely. Do they have side effects? Typically. Are the side effects good or bad? Depends on the kind and for how long and how serious or intense. And I'm wondering about this in terms of what we'll call frequency or energetic processes, stimulations, medicines. In the same way that many of us have a strong belief that, like in holism, that herbology has potency and efficacy because of its complexity. I wonder about the same thing in terms of frequency induction and whether complexity, something that is more musical, to run parallel to this incredible thing that our brain does and loves, this music thing, which can have rhythms, obviously, but with a lot of tonal melodic complexity. Otherwise, it's just a metronome. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so anyway, that's what I've been thinking about. And maybe you can think about it too, if you want. Thank you. Bye-bye from Thailand.